For centuries, people have been observing strange objects moving in the sky. Reports about flying vehicles have appeared throughout the entire history of humanity. One of the more intriguing cases of such reports was the mass sightings of UFOs that occurred around the turn of 1896 and 1897. During that time, thousands of people in the United States witnessed extraordinary objects hovering high above the ground. At that time, people had not yet mastered the construction of machines capable of flight, and the pinnacle of aerial travel was balloon flights. The first airplane flight only took place in 1903, thanks to the Wright brothers. Nevertheless, 7 years earlier, people were already observing flying objects whose mode of movement sparked great astonishment. So, what were these strange vehicles, considering that at that time, people were not yet capable of building airplanes? Were they spacecraft whose crews were monitoring the development of life on our planet? Let's examine some accounts from 120 years ago. The first wave of UFO observations occurred in the autumn of 1896 in California. On the evening of November 17, 1896, several residents of Sacramento observed a strange glowing object high in the sky. According to witnesses, the vehicle had a dark shape and emitted very bright light. The incident of the hair's glow was reported by the Sacramento Bee and San Francisco Call newspapers. The next day, Colonel Shaw, traveling in his vehicle, suddenly saw an airborne vehicle in the sky in Stockton, California. Shaw described its surface as metallic, estimating the vehicle's diameter to be around 8 meters. The account of this event was published by the local Daily Mail newspaper. On the evening of November 21, mysterious lights reappeared over Sacramento and were also seen in Oakland, Modesto, San Francisco, and many other cities. In each of these cities, hundreds of people reported observing a strange vehicle. A few days later, the San Francisco Call gathered many accounts and published an extensive article about the strange objects traversing California. The article included the account of Professor Cross, the then Dean of the University of the Pacific in Stockton. The respected professor, who had personally witnessed the extraordinary objects, ruled out the possibility that they could be balloons or other vehicles known to Americans at that time. According to him, the vehicles moved in an astonishing way, and their level of advancement exceeded the possibilities of that era. Witnesses of the observation of strange vehicles also reported that the objects, which radiated bright white light, suddenly changed color to red or green. Similar reports can be found in the case of UFO incidents at many other moments in our history. In the following months, no new observations of flying vehicles were reported, except for the case on February 2, 1897, when the Omaha Bee reported the observation of a flying ship by several people in Hastings, Nebraska. However, in the spring of 1897, a second wave of UFO observations took place, during which the United States was visited by a fleet of mysterious airborne vessels. The media extensively covered these events. On April 15, an interesting UFO observation occurred in Lingrow, Iowa. In the evening, hundreds of people saw a large object in the sky slowly moving northeast. According to witnesses, the vehicle emitted very bright light. The next day, the story was described by the Courier-Herald newspaper, and according to the editor, almost all Lingrow residents observed the hovering aircraft. Another account was provided by Judge Lawrence Byrne, who witnessed the observation of an extraordinary vehicle. He described his experience on April 25 in the Texarkana Journal in Arkansas. While walking in the McKinney swamps, the judge emerged from the thicket into a less overgrown area where he saw a strange object. The judge approached it and identified it as an airborne vessel. As a respected figure in the area, his statement was published by the press. On April 26, 1897, the Houston Daily Post published an interesting article in which many witnesses saw a flying vehicle. Several groups returning home from church in the evening saw something in the sky that seemed like an airborne vessel. According to witnesses, the object was high in the sky, making it difficult to assess its size, but light emanating from numerous windows was noticeable. Regarding the observation of extraordinary flying vehicles, British aviation specialist Charles Gibbs Smith conducted an analysis. After completing the analysis, he issued the following statement. As an aviation historian specializing in the period before 1910, I can confidently say that the only airborne vehicles that could carry passengers and that residents of the United States could see around 1,897 were balloons, and it is impossible for anyone to mistake them for anything else. At that time, no type of controlled machine, nor any machine heavier than air, could fly over North America. Reflecting on the cases of UFO phenomena from 1896 and 1897, it is worth considering what people truly saw. Of course, many observations could be a mistaken interpretation of natural phenomena or the telling of untrue stories for fame. Nevertheless, in many observations, there were thousands of witnesses, and reports about flying vehicles appeared independently of each other. Strange objects appeared over an area of many thousands of kilometers. All these observations took place several years before the first airplane flights. So, what did people see back then? Were these extraordinary objects of extraterrestrial origin? It is worth considering this hypothesis because people have witnessed the passage of strange flying vehicles throughout the history of humanity, from antiquity through the Middle Ages, modern times, to the present day. Perhaps for thousands of years, we have been observed by advanced civilizations from space. We will continue to look for further evidence of their presence in subsequent episodes on our channel.